Testing 1, 2, 3, test. Hi, this is the Temple Emmanuel Community Input Meeting, number 1. And I'm the first one here, starting the meeting up. We're going to wait for everyone to join us. We'll be starting in 9 minutes. Welcome. You're the first to join. I'm Earl from the Temple. I can't hear you because you're muted. That was video. So it looks like your video's back, but I think you're still muted. It's okay. I mean, if you oh, there you go. No, not connecting. I still haven't heard anybody, so everybody's come in muted, so I still can't hear you two. But I'm gonna. Hi,
Hi,
Renee.
Earl. How are you?
I'm well, Renee. How are you?
Good, thank you.
We're just getting going here.
I figured.
Yeah. And this is good. We're gonna have, I think we're gonna have a little bit of a crowd. Hi, Lauren.
Hey, everybody.
How you doing?
So I know some folks, okay, they dropped off. They were having some audio issues. I'm glad you guys jumped in and I could hear you, because I was wondering whether everybody had audio issues, or I think it was just that one. They just dropped off.
Let me see if it's my people. Maybe I'll just have them come down if that's the case. Hold on.
They're coming back in right now. It's the Galaxy A71.
Yeah, that's them.
Yeah, they were. They had the video
You
going.
were on mute. Do you want to
Yeah.
just come down here? Yeah. All right. Bye. They're gonna come down here, so
Okay,
we'll all be on one. So don't worry about it. Let me just go let them in.
excellent. Hi, Ken.
Hi, Earl. I expect my sister will be joining. For some reason, she was left off the mailing list.
Okay,
Even though she and I put in comments.
okay. Did you forwarded her did you just
Yeah.
forward? Okay.
I just spoke with her a short while ago.
Hi,
Hi, Herb.
hi,
Hey,
Ken.
Herb, can you make sure my sister's on the distribution list? I forwarded her the materials.
Okay. Hi, Renee. I don't see you. I see your name.
Yeah, she was there. There was some
Oh.
folks. She was going to get some people to come and watch it with her. They were having
Oh.
trouble. They were having trouble with their audio, so they're going to
Oh, I
join
see.
her. She'll be
Okay.
back. She'll be right back.
Great.
And
Is that a new part of Chelsea she's in?
No. Carter Heights is not exactly a new part of Chelsea. She's the property manager. Let's see.
Herb, were you able to incorporate our feedback into the document for communities' desires and wishes?
I see a nice lobby.
I'm not sure he heard you, Lauren.
Herb, can you hear me?
Yes.
Were you able to incorporate the feedback sent by myself and Esther into the updated community desires and wishes document?
Yes.
Are you able to send out the revised version? I don't think I got it if you sent it out.
I'm pretty sure I sent it out, but I will be happy to.
Thank you.
It was the version that I asked everybody to vote on.
Oh, I think I missed that.
I'm gonna just take the back one.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay. This
Herb,
is
just to let you know, we are recording,
good.
and I've allowed sharing. So,
Excellent.
and yeah, so we should be all set.
Okay.
for
Let's
that.
just wait a minute or two and see who else is going to join.
Sure.
Lauren, are you in North Carolina?
I'm still in Chelsea right now. I am moving on the 17th.
Oh, okay.
Are you selling the homestead?
We are. Yep. It's very bittersweet, but it is
Of course.
time.
Yeah, I went to school with your mother.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was losing her was very difficult.
Of course.
We weren't in the same class, but I distinctly remember her. She was quite notable in the class.
You will have to tell me some stories, Ken.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Good evening, Anjali.
Good evening.
I'm having dinner with Roberta Stone next week.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Another one of our classmates.
yep, she and mom were the best of friends.
Anjali, is G going to join us? Do you know?
Yes, he is supposed to.
Okay. So we'll say that it starts at 6-ish.
I'm sorry, I was I
not-
got distracted and ready for the last 15 minutes, and then I saw the clock and it was 6:01.
No problem. Happens to me all the time.
Hey, Herb, I was watching an American who travels to a lot of countries talk about punctuality. He
Uh-huh.
pointed out Americans like to be punctual, but in some countries like Mexico, if you show up at the scheduled time, you'll be the only one there.
That is so
must-
true. I'm originally from India, and there's an expression that we come at Indian Standard Time, which is usually half hour late. It's terrible.
IST. I'll have to remember that.
Yeah. I can
Um,
start if you want, and we can have G join us. I can text him. I don't know. Maybe I'll try to.
Well, there's others folks that I'm waiting for too. I'm not
Okay,
sure.
great. Okay, great. So whenever you think is a good time.
Is
let me-
Yeah.
Sarah Lee joining us?
She is traveling right now. Could not make it. I have sent out 3 reminders, so everybody knows the date, but people have busy schedules. Oh,
Well, they all assume everything's in good hands, so.
thank you for saying that.
For sure. So good to see you, Lauren.
Hi,
Hey,
Oksana.
And everybody, of course.
Well, as you can tell, we haven't started yet. What I should say is that the meeting is being recorded, as you might have heard, and I will send the link to all of you as well as everybody who didn't make it, so that they know what was said, what was suggested, and the rest of the process. I'll also take notes and distribute those.
Herb, it's 5 past. We want to maybe start with some introductions and see if
I think
anybody else
we
is
may as
open.
well get underway, yes. But let me just briefly remind everyone that the way that this input group is structured, we have representatives of Temple Emmanuel. We have representatives, not here right now, city officials, representatives of Chelsea groups, and in some cases, neighborhood representatives who live in the immediate Cary Square, Adams Orange neighborhood. So when you do introduce yourself, let us know what element of the city you're representing. Who would like to start? I will. I'm Herb Selesnik. I'm Temple Emmanuel's Community Engagement Coordinator. And with me this evening is Temple Emmanuel's webmaster, Earl Vigoda, who will help us keep up with the technology.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Earl.
Lauren, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, absolutely. Hey, everybody. My name is Lauren Demko. As you probably heard from the beginning of this meeting, I am a Chelsea resident, but I am bittersweetly moving to North Carolina. However, my parents were very, very involved in the temple, and I am just passionate about green spaces and urban environments. And I am absolutely thrilled that the idea of paving paradise to put up a parking lot was squashed. And we are talking about a pocket park now. So while I will be making North Carolina my home, I am very invested in making this pocket park a reality for the city that built me. So thank you very much for having me. And I'll pass it over to Oksana.
Thank you, Lauren. I'm Rabbi at Temple Emmanuel, and just Lauren's mom, Marlene, that was her dream, to make this garden into a garden. And hopefully we are in good start. And under Herb Selesnik, I have full assurance that we will bring it to the state of beauty and function and shared space for all.
Thank you. Ken?
Hi, I'm Ken Wax, a product of Chelsea. I was raised there, went to all the public schools all the way through high school, and am still connected to Chelsea as an active member of Temple Emmanuel. I'm very passionate that there should be a good future for the temple, and was instrumental in working with the president to create a visionary committee. And I like to think the activities we're pursuing today are an outgrowth of that.
They are. That they are. Anjali? I cannot hear you.
Hi, I'm sorry, I was trying to call G to see if he forgot or something, I don't know. I'm a landscape architect, and I have practiced and worked in Massachusetts and Rhode Island area for the last 25 years, and have volunteered with COG, the Community Outreach Group for Landscape Architects, for projects that involve communities like yourself. And I love working with people, hearing their ideas and trying to make their visions come to life. And I think I have really enjoyed the process and walking through the group, and enjoyed meeting the group at the temple for a site visit just a few weeks ago.
Thank you. Well, just a word or two about how these sessions will work. We'll have 3 meetings, of which this is the first. And the purpose of the first meeting is to get your ideas and suggestions for activities that could be accommodated by a redesigned Temple Emmanuel Courtyard. When we have all those ideas out on the table, as it were, our landscape architects are present to hear those ideas and respond to them with some concept drawings. Those are the drawings that we'll discuss at the second meeting on April 28th, so that you can see how they are responding to the various suggestions that were made at this meeting. And you can comment on the nature of their responses. You may have some additional thoughts when you see the drawings. So that will lead to a third meeting on May 31st, which will be more or less a finalized version of the design concept drawings. So that's the overall purpose here. In this first meeting, it's merely almost like a brainstorming session, ideas you have thought about that ought to go into a redesigned Temple Emmanuel Courtyard, either from the point of view of a member of the temple and from the temple's programming activities, or from the point of view of a Chelsea resident, or better still, a neighborhood resident who might want to take advantage of this pocket park, depending on what activities it can accommodate. The Temple Emmanuel members are here to listen to the ideas and dovetail them with their own ideas. Some will be the same, some will be undoubtedly different. The landscape architects, or at least one of our landscape architects, a senior one, is here to hear the ideas. And so we want to hear from you. My only ground rule is it would be helpful if you want to speak to, and you haven't had a chance to raise your hand, so I make sure to call on you. And I think it would be helpful before we start in with suggestions and ideas to have a little clear idea of the parcel we're talking about.
Herb, there are a few people that haven't been introduced yet.
Okay, well, I don't see any of them on the screen.
Uh,
Why do I?
You're
Father
gonna see them on the
Redbird.
side, Herb.
Full screen. Huh?
You're gonna see their name listed on the side. So if on the bottom of the screen you click participants, it'll show the full list of participants.
On the bottom.
If you hover your
It's-
mouse over the bottom of the Zoom screen, you'll see
There are
participants.
13 on the call group.
Okay. Well,
So
I
I think
can't see.
I saw that Ellen joined us along with
Okay.
Edgar, Judy, Janice, Renee, and Sarah.
Now I see. Okay. Ellen, do you want to introduce yourself? Can't hear. You. Cannot hear.
She's not speaking.
Okay. Janice? Janice?
Hi. My name is Janice Doherty. I'm in the congregation, and I'm very interested to see what can be done with this beautiful space we have. There's so many possibilities, and hopefully I can put in my input.
Oh, I'm sure you can. Father Edgar?
Hello, I am Father Edgar. I am the priest in charge of St. Luke's Church, St. Luke's Episcopal Church. I am your neighbor. I've been your neighbor for 14 years.
Mhm.
I love this space, and I am honored to be part of this group.
Welcome. Sarah?
Hi, my name's Sarah Neville. I live around the corner. I'm at 40 Eleanor Street. So this would be, I think, the closest park to my house, closer than any of the other ones. And I'm involved in a number of things in the community. I came by to Temple Emmanuel to help with the Chelsea Community Connections clothing drive. And my husband is on the school committee and running for state rep. His name is Roberto Jimenez.
Okay. Welcome. Renee?
Hi, my name is Renee. I am the property manager at Carter Heights. And these are two of my awesome residents. This is Teresa Castro, and this is Brenda Lise Nazario.
Welcome. We're looking forward to hearing your suggestions. Hinda? Can't hear you. You're muted.
Hi,
Hinda?
I'm Hinda Sterling. I'm very interested in creating a spot of beauty in this corner lot, which has so much opportunity. I think it would be very beautiful. I've also been a perennial gardener for over 40 years. And I'm really excited that this lot is going to have some potential and will be shared with the community.
Welcome aboard. Judy?
I think it's a wonderful idea.
Is this Judy Dyer?
Yes, it is.
I can't see you, but I recognize the voice.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
And G?
Hi, everybody. I'm G. I'm one of the volunteer designers with Cog Design. I'll be working with Anjali. Nice to meet everybody.
G didn't mention that he's a student at the Graduate School of Design, and so we hope to bring both the younger and the older perspective to this project. Very talented
Which school
designer.
is that, please?
It's the Harvard Graduate School of Design.
Oh,
I think I've heard of it. Ellen, do you want to introduce yourself? Ellen?
Hi, I'm Ellen Rowan Ball. I'm the pastor of the Congregational Church, which is a little bit up the hill, but close enough. And if a garden has something to do with spiritual contemplation, I'm all over it. I'll give whatever ideas, thoughts I have. And thanks for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, welcome. As I mentioned, the temple members are here to listen, as are the landscape architects. And it would help to orient us a little bit just to look at a screenshot of the parcels themselves and where they're located. So could we have that, Anjali?
Yes. Okay, are you able to allow me to share screen?
You should see a green share screen at the bottom.
And yeah, you should
No,
be able to.
It's not allowing me to share. I see the shares button, but
I
desktop.
just tried mine. It works.
Ken, that might be because you're a host.
No, I'm not the host, Herb is.
No, just
Actually,
I'm
Earl
the-
is.
I'm the host.
Oh,
I
Earl.
turned it on at the beginning of the meeting. If you have
Okay.
if you have a document, you can send it to me if you can't share it.
Just give me 1 second. I think I got it, but it's asking me for different programs, which I'm on Zoom a lot and I don't see this.
So do you have a menu at the bottom that lists participants, chat, and share screen?
Yes, I do.
So the share screen should be green, meaning you can use it.
It is green, but it's giving me all these choices. and
Right,
I want
you have to highlight the window you want us to see. So click on the window and then click on the word share in the lower right corner.
Okay, but now it's asking me for security settings. I might as well send this to you. I'm not sure. I want to hold everybody up.
Okay, again, I'm looking at it. It looks like it's set to allow sharing.
Yeah, I think the security is something on your own computer. It's not part of Zoom.
Oh, because I do Zoom calls all the time. I don't know what happened. Anyway, I will just send this off to you.
Better still, and send him the photograph, at least one photograph of the parcel.
No, that's what I'm sending.
Okay, good.
I just forwarded them to you and G, but what's your email?
Mine is my initials EJV23@comcast.net.
EV23@comcast.net.
I'm sorry.
EJV.
Thank you.
EJV, yes.
Thank you.
So I've sent you some pictures and a plot plan of the project from the Chelsea Assessors website.
Good.
And I'm just looking for it now, waiting for it to. Still haven't seen it hit my email. Got it. Download. Okay, I did get it. It's gonna take me a second here, guys. And we've got a zip file. Extract here. So I got a bunch of JPEGs, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Are they shareable?
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out if I say see all photos.
What I did is I had opened them on my desktop one by one, and then you can just minimize them so that you can see one at a time.
Okay. I'll do
Also,
that.
if you've got a Windows machine, Earl, is the preview function that'll scroll through them.
Oh, how do I kick off the preview?
If you right click, it should be one of the options beside open, says preview.
Thank you. Create.
There's a screenshot, which is the sort of overview of the site, if you want to share that first.
You
Did
got
you
it.
unzip the files, Earl, so they're
I thought I was going through here. Hold on one second here, Ken. 105, they're all 105. Okay, and then the screenshot's gonna be first. Okay, folks, so I'm gonna share away now. I will try to start with that screenshot for you.
Okay.
It's working.
Okay, now
thank you.
you can see the red lines, the red square shows the corner lot on the corner of Gardner Street and Cary Avenue, the cornermost lot. And next to it, on two sides of it, you see the gray silhouette of Temple Emmanuel. So you can see how it is the courtyard of the temple. It's bounded on two sides by hedges on Gardner Street and Cary Avenue and a chain link fence. On the third side, it adjoins an adjacent property. And on the fourth side, it adjoins one of the walls of the temple itself. I think there's a larger version of that, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't include that. I just thought it might help to bring
Okay,
context
so
to
this
the
is,
project.
so I think everybody knows where we are. And if you go up Washington Avenue on the right, you can almost see St. Luke's Church from here.
You can zoom into the view also with your zoom tool. Possibly.
Okay,
There you
there
go.
you go.
Yep, there it
So
is.
now everybody knows the plot that we're talking about. That's 10,200 square feet. The 200 come from that little jog out on the far right. Could we see a photograph now of the parcel? Earl,
Yeah.
could you show a photo?
Yep, the way it's. Okay, so now what's interesting is, okay, there we go. We want to see outside.
Yes.
There's the yard.
Yes.
There you go. All right, so there is most of the parcel. You can't see a little bit on the far left. And you can see right now it has a sort of a, excuse me, driveway, which looks like it's covered in tar. There's a similar walkway up again, almost up against the side wall there, out onto Cary Avenue, which is the view you can see. You can see out to Cary Avenue and the funeral parlor. Do you have another photo from a different angle?
Yes, I have several photos.
Okay.
Okay, I'm looking at the outdoor. Here's another outdoor. There you go.
Okay, that's looking across also to Cary Avenue. On the right is Gardner Street. Those little furrows where we used to have flower gardens, and at one time vegetable gardens. So as you can see, it's an empty lot, which has a layer of grass and a couple of tar covered walkways. It has a flagpole. Those are two granite monuments, which have the names of soldiers who died in World War I, Jewish war veterans from World War I and World War II who died in combat. And so that is the sum and substance of the parcel, which we are proposing to redesign, and which we regard as an opportunity not only to better accommodate the temple's activities, but to provide a more active community resource for the city of Chelsea and the Cary Avenue, Adams Orange neighborhoods. So with that little orientation in mind, we would open the floor to suggestions for activities and uses that any of you have in mind. Who would like to start?
I'll start her.
Okay.
So I would love to see this used as a contemplation garden. I think we should have a water feature for touch leaf. Something that is preferably running, maybe makes a Zen-like noise. I'd love to see a stage for performances, musical or speeches, an area for Tai Chi, maybe senior Tai Chi or outdoor yoga, or a small amphitheater space so Oksana could do classes outdoors. I'd also very much like to see all plants incorporated be native plants and pollinator friendly to encourage bees, birds, butterflies. I think we should put in a little pocket or one of those little lending libraries, a bench, any bricks or walkways we can do funding with by selling bricks with names on it. If we're going to plant any large trees, we could also use that as a donation. We can get the tree for free from the city, but maybe someone wants to donate that name and name it for someone. Yeah, just a couple of ideas there.
Okay, thank you very much.
I don't think she left anything.
Herb, if I might make a comment.
Mhm.
The temple has already used the space for various functions, such as communal social gatherings, even some services during the pandemic when people felt more comfortable being outside. And we set up tents and had services there. And we've had even had a summer barbecue there. So I think the temple would like to continue to have some flexible space that can be purposed for functions like that.
Mhm. Other suggestions?
I would like to see some seating in various places.
Okay. Like benches?
Well, not necessarily so, whatever blends in with the rest of the garden.
Mm-hmm. That blends in, okay.
Yeah, generally stone benches are what you find in permanent installations like that.
I'm
Benches.
not an expert in landscape design, but I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of landscape designers just briefly, where one of the challenges is what percentage of this space would be softscape and what percentage would be hardscape. And that is determined, I would imagine, by the nature of the activities. So some of the activities just can't be done in a completely softscaped
Can
garden.
you define those terms?
Well, softscape is just the opposite of hardscape. It's usually plants and flowers. And we all know what hardscape is. It's masonry. So the mix of masonry for certain kind of programming activities and plants and flowers for very different kinds of activities is part of the design challenge here. The temple has already worked hard on coming up with a very long list of programming types of functions and activities, some of which Ken alluded to. So the real purpose of this meeting is for the temple members to sit and listen to the ideas from community members and any representatives of the city at large. Do we have any other suggestions?
Suggestion would be to keep the memorials for the soldiers and make it part of maybe an area in which memorials for victims, probably of wars or any other events that could be actually take place, and even interfaith prayer services.
Victims of wars
or any kind of a tragedy that brings the community together.
So I assume you mean with a Chelsea connection?
Correct.
Okay.
Do you mean with a Chelsea connection, or do you mean to use that as a gathering space for example, right now, what's happening in Ukraine, to be able to hold vigils?
Well, the point is, if we put up memorials with names, we can't duplicate what you find in Washington, D.C. We have to be somehow bounded.
I don't think Father said put up memorials, but to use it as a space to acknowledge.
What I'm suggesting is to use what you have already,
Mhm.
memorials for the soldiers, and to make it part of a corner of a place where you could have memorials for any kind of tragedy that brings the community.
Oh, you mean memorial services?
Memorial services,
Okay.
right.
Oh, that's great.
I'm thinking we're looking at, I think those are the memorials. And that could be made into a place where memorial services are held.
Mhm.
For instance, where the Chelsea Interfaith Alliance is thinking about having a memorial a service or prayer service for those lost in Ukraine. So this place in the garden would be an adequate place to actually just have such a prayer service.
Mhm. It certainly would. And at some point in the future, we could put up a memorial that does not have names on it, but it has a statement on it about that this space is for memorializing those who were victims of tragedy, major tragedy.
I would point out, Father, that there many of the temple members have connections to the Ukraine. For example, all my grandparents immigrated from there.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice way to connect to the community. If an additional memorial or two could be added, because I mean, we have countless memorials throughout the US for soldiers, you know, American soldiers, but a lot of Chelsea community members are from other countries, and they may be the victims of American imperialism and interference abroad. And you think about the way that, you know, American interference has caused tragedies related to migration, you know, the violence happening in Central America. I mean, it's kind of it's a bit of a, I don't know, it's a lot, but it's just something to think about maybe.
Mhm.
I think
Okay.
it's interesting to think about what a safe haven Chelsea has been, you know, starting back in, you know, I mean, my third great grandparents came here in 1888. And, you know, this was where the wave of Jews came in and, you know, had a safe haven in Chelsea. And, you know, growing up in Chelsea, you know, everybody coming in from Cambodia and Somalia and just all the waves of immigrants that use Chelsea, that have been able to come to Chelsea as a safe haven. I would love to see this park dedicated to that, to a safe place to build a new home and still connect with where you're from. You know, I mean, if ever, I'm a child of the 80s, so, you know, Fievel was, or An American Tail was, you know, one of my favorite movies. You know, it's you know, somewhere out there beneath the pale moonlight, you know, someone's thinking of me and blah, 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 underneath the same sky and the same moon and the same stars. I shared with our email group a song by a group called Nepesh Mountain called In the Wide Open Air, that essentially says, you know, nature connects me to, you know, being okay in this world. And I would love to see that this park kind of dedicated to that sentiment.
Okay.
Right.
Kind of a sanctuary theme
Yes.
Yeah.
comes to mind.
I like the theme of Chelsea roots among the immigrants,
Mhm.
stressing that we've had a series of programs that I've been instrumental in tracing the roots of our congregation and the history of the immigrants into Chelsea.
Okay. Other suggestions or thoughts on the activities or the uses or the access publicly?
I just had a thought. I know you have a shed there, and I was
Yes.
wondering if it would be a good idea to have a folding table in there or something, and case it's really necessary for whatever is happening. Just not to, for everyday use, but for when it's needed. Or a
Well,
couple-
Judy, we have 12 folding tables in the little white corner structure.
Oh, I
that
didn't
we-
realize that.
Yeah,
Good.
they hold 8 people easily each.
That's good. Do you have chairs at all?
We
Yeah.
have about 48 chairs.
Wow, that's really good to hear.
Yes. But I'm glad you remember the shed because our custodian keeps his bicycle there.
Oh,
It helps him get around.
Well,
Other,
I live not too terribly far from there.
I know,
Mhm,
and you've been involved in the temple for quite some time.
mhm.
We haven't had any suggestions from Carter Heights or,
That used to be my school. That was Carter School years ago.
right?
My mom went to school here. at Carter Heights.
Is Carter Heights the apartment building that replaced the school?
The school,
Yes.
yes.
Yes,
Yep.
Really?
Forsyth.
Mhm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my mom actually went to school here when it was a school.
So you all could walk right down the street to the opening space that we're talking about.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I heard a lot of great ideas. I mean, I personally love the thought of the water.
Mhm.
The water piece, I thought that was
It's very calming.
absolutely.
I've often wondered the mechanics of that and how it holds up during the winter.
Well, yeah, you and I, Herb, were thinking of the technical side.
Right.
To
Couple
bring
of engineers.
electricity there and have a pump running and have filter and all that, but it's certainly doable. There are.
Yeah, it definitely is. We have electricity out there. Okay.
I always do a koi pond if the water feature is too, is too much.
If Herb and I get a bit technical, we're both products of MIT, so.
Okay.
My feedback is to just kind of think of how children will potentially interact with the space, because that's where my head is at. My son is almost 2. I think that something that's unique about this space is that it will probably be mostly covered in grass or other plants, while all the other parks and playgrounds surrounding it all have rubber surface. So I see that as that's a plus. I mean, I like rubber surface too, but it's nice to have the variety for kids, because I know, and also most playgrounds and parks aren't designed for infants and toddlers in mind. And I'm biased because so far I only have 1 kid, so I've only interacted with the parks with infants and toddlers. But I've always loved seeing how he plays with grass and dirt and water and everything. And just to think how it could also be a space that, I mean, the people who use parks a lot are usually young mothers with little kids who just need to get out of the house, especially because a lot of houses in Chelsea don't have their own yards. So just thinking about that, it doesn't need to be a playground necessarily, but when there's a water structure, think about the height and will a kid be able to have their hands in it, or is it going to be built so that that's not allowed? And just considering the different options, because I know that I would and also thinking about fencing is important, because I like bringing my son to some place where I can latch the fence behind me so that he doesn't run into the street. So that's a plus for me. I know that some places that have kind of grassy areas end up getting used by kids who play soccer there. So think about whether you want that or don't want that. And yeah, my son, when he goes to the community garden or the urban farm, he loves always touching mulch and gravel, and it's a very sensory thing, and it's great for kids, to be interacting with nature. So I like that idea. And if it's going to be kind of like a contemplation garden sort of setup, thinking how the space could potentially be used for reading and writing and doing homework. Eating, parks usually end up, people sit there and eat in all of the different playgrounds around Chelsea. So yeah, I think that's.
So Sarah, when I was growing up in Chelsea, I viewed the world as covered in cement and tar, and I thought grass was the unusual.
You left out telephone poles with wires.
Right.
Oh, how sad.
I would like to avoid soccer, I think, at this garden. I think, you can't have kids screaming and playing soccer and still have a place to think and meditate.
Yeah, this is not a playground we're planning.
But I think what might be nice is, a place for an for rotating art installations. We've got these amazing artists in Chelsea, and a lot of that does go back to where they came, where our inhabitants came from. And I think being able to do a rotating art installation, whether it be a sculpture or something against a wall, might be really nice and bring in an educational component every time that art installation is changed out.
I would think, Lauren, we have to be aware of the weather, and with if it's perishable art,
Well, yeah, absolutely. But, sculptures tend to not be perishable. They withstand the weather, or even murals, putting in a mural board that, we know will get painted over and over and over again as, somebody else comes in to do the next art installation.
Well, no shortage of ideas here.
Yeah. I had some thoughts.
Yep, go ahead.
One is that when I was at Margolis, and some of the residents weren't able to come tonight, but I know one came out and said, because I knew water would be a welcome thing, but she was saying, oh, it'll bring all the pigeons. So I don't know how one can, I'm sure that the landscape architects, could figure out to make water flowing will not attract pigeons. I don't know how that works, but I'm just airing that view. But the other, in addition to just having it be as green, in terms of the balance of hard and soft space, I think as much green as possible would be lovely. And there also is, as soon as I heard spiritual contemplation, I thought of a labyrinth. And that may not be familiar to everyone, but it is it's a round circle, but it has a weaving pattern in it. And it has been used since the Middle Ages for contemplation. And you enter the labyrinth and you consider a problem in your head. And they actually say that the turning right and left actually helps you to solve a problem. You walk into the center and anyway, it's a very much a spiritual practice. It can be a God that you consider or a higher being, however you want to use the labyrinth. And if you posted instructions so people would know what it is, there's one in Cambridge. It's not very big. I took a picture of it so I can forward it to anyone.
That would be helpful.
I think that, it may not be known to a lot of people, but if the instructions are there on a post, it's a nice activity. And you could actually bring a church group or a retreat, if there was a spiritual activity happening at the temple, you could include that as something that people do.
Is a labyrinth like a maze, or are they different?
Yeah, I think it's something like that. I think.
So the difference is that in a maze, you can get lost. There are dead ends and it's very frustrating. A labyrinth actually you simply follow the path and you end up in the center, and then you come back out and you go the other way. So you do not get lost. There's no tears, no frustrations.
It sounds like even
Alan, you can forward it to me and I can share it. You know
Okay.
my email very well.
Yeah, let me grab my phone.
Ellen, but what I love about that idea is it captures so many of the other programmatic elements, like the contemplative space, the children. I mean, it can bring together, like the children would love the labyrinth just as much as somebody trying to find.
Absolutely.
So I think it's a beautiful idea.
It's great because you can have the children line up and it's a discipline to create order. A child can go in and wait 5 or 10 steps and then the next one can go in and they actually become very quiet and very respectful because they have to follow this little path. So
in fact, they use that labyrinth in my daughter's Montessori school as a calming mechanism. It's funny you say that.
Exactly. No, they say that the turning right and left involves the different hemispheres of the brain, and there's just something, you can even hold a labyrinth in your hand and trace it, and it will help you sort of calm and consider. I've done like little spiritual groups where everyone has just a labyrinth in front of them and they trace it with their finger, and it's amazing how your mind can consider issues, problems, dilemmas.
Well, any place where I cannot get lost is going to calm me because of my sense of direction.
Exactly. All right, I'm getting up to get my phone and I'll forward it to Oksana.
Excellent. Any other thoughts that we should record on this initial session?
I'd like to reconsider the fence that's there. Just, chain link to me is it's not inviting. It's not warm and inviting. And I know it's, covered in hedges, but I think, creating, I love the idea of being able to latch the gate behind you so that you can, make sure your kids are safe and all of that. But I think the perimeter should be inviting.
Mm-hmm. Meaning no fence or a different kind of fence?
No, I think just a different kind of border. So, and that could be a fence, but I don't think chain link is the right border for us in this park.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some pretty heavy duty gates in the other parks, like in the Eden Street Park, that are not chain link.
Mm-hmm.
They work perfectly.
Or are they wrought
Are
iron?
they more traditional iron fences?
Yeah.
Yeah, but more
Sounds like-
modern ones too that aren't like, not all twisty and spiky.
I think there was a thought about the fence because it would guzzle a huge part of the budget. To try to look at maybe some stone curbing and some bushes as an interim idea before and leaving the chain link for now and then replacing it down the road so that the budget can be used broadly and not just be guzzled by one element in the space, so.
I suppose that a better fence could be a naming opportunity as well, a donor naming opportunity, as mentioned earlier in other items.
We also need to consider security, security cameras, just to make sure that no vandalism happens, and lighting so people feel safe to use it, particularly in the when it gets so dark so early here. Yeah, I mean, honestly, one of the reasons I'm moving back down south is because the seasonal affective disorder is real, and I like the longer light and the longer warm season, and having very little to do here outside when it gets dark so quickly. So having a space where you can still feel safe even when it's dusk would be nice.
Okay, so consider adding lighting and security cameras.
Yeah,
Is the temple
in the evening, that would be a real value add. Like no other place can be used in the evening.
Yeah.
Well, do we want to encourage evening use, or do we want to?
That's exactly was my question, is that do you want to have hours for this? Because it's not a truly public space, but it's
Right.
A semi-public, and you want to cap the times or maybe limit it to
Yeah,
certain
we have
days.
talked about this as a daytime park. Of course, there's a dilemma of who's responsible for opening and closing.
Right. I mean, I personally think that I know it's very difficult, particularly in an urban environment, to trust that a place is a special place, particularly is not going to be vandalized. But when I lived in Washington, D.C. and when I was in college, and would spend my midnights, walking the monuments, because it was a wonderful way to think and to contemplate. And there's nothing like that around here. So what do people do? They're stuck in their homes because there's nowhere to go at night. So I think, giving someone or giving people something special, that there is a place to go and be safe and to think and breathe outside of their home is something to consider. I understand there's logistics involved with that, though.
I don't think with children you would be there in the evening anyway.
Right.
Well, they're awake all sorts of hours. So
Oh, but after supper and things, people tend to want to relax at home and whatever, I think.
yeah, I think Lauren's point though is it gets dark at like 4 p.m. and then you're stuck in the house because parks around here don't encourage or they kind of don't allow people to go out after dark. And if you did have very bright lighting, I mean, either people would be sneaking in there in the dark and doing sketchy things, or it would be a brightly lit space where you allow people to come. And so, yeah.
Okay. Other ideas before we sign off?
I just wondered, would it be locked in the evening, the gates?
We haven't really decided that, I don't think.
Obviously, if it wasn't going to be available for evening use, we would probably have to find a way to secure it overnight. And
Is
we
it
might
locked
be
at
able
the
to.
moment?
What?
Is it
No,
locked?
it is
the
not.
moment?
It is not at the moment. We have a micro pantry there, and I believe some people
Right.
come at night for that. But I think we could probably work out an arrangement with the city on maybe some of the maintenance issues and some security issues, if we can get a good solid grant to really transform the courtyard.
Maybe eventually a spotlight that only goes on when there's activity that shouldn't be there at night.
Like a motion sensor of some sort.
Like a motion sensor, yes.
Yeah, there are a number of ways to light the place up that it can be cost effective.
Let's also consider just in terms of the technology budget, so the security, the lighting, but also if there's going to be a stage or a place for someone to do classes or talks, then a sound system as well. And how can you hide all of that within the landscaping so it continues to look natural?
That's the challenge. That's another one of the challenges.
That's Anjali's job.
We like anything else, I'm sure we will have to prioritize and make some choices here. But it's important to get the broadest range of suggestions out before we do that. And you've helped enormously to achieve that on this opening round. So I'm kind of looking forward to what Anjali and G will come up with as a graphic response.
I'm
I
thinking,
had a quick question for you. As part of the temple activities, we've talked a lot about technology and light, but are there any other sort of forms of light that become part of your temple service, even if it's something as simple and basic as a candle? Or, I think that something about the contemplative and spirituality of the place warrants like light also that brings that aspect, which is not seen in other spaces, perhaps. I don't know. I'm turning more primitive in my choice of light fixtures as a way to make it special and maybe different. And it's a different experience to have LED lights versus, incandescent type of warmer lights, or even some opportunity. I don't want to start a fire there, but I mean, just thinking about the possibility of having a torch. Is that anything part of what you do?
LED lights don't have to look harsh like street lights.
Yeah.
There's now technology that creates a warm light. We have a practical issue that if we have anything like an open flame, there's always a risk.
Right.
And candles are very much part of the Jewish celebrations.
Okay.
Getting back to the sound system, someone mentioned the term amphitheater. The whole idea of the Greek amphitheater is that it projects sound without needing any electronic amplification. And I think that's attractive for the space, so we don't have the extra complexity of electronics.
Another concept of lighting is we have quite a bit of lighting in the sanctuary. And I believe there are 8 windows from the sanctuary onto the parcel. If we had sensor LED lights in the temple go on at night and stay on until a certain hour, they would light up about 2/3 of that parcel through the window, and casting quite an interesting glow once we get the windows reglazed properly.
That sounds beautiful.
Mhm.
So yeah, there you go. You can see 3 of the windows, and you can imagine the light coming through there. And I think there's one behind a tree that you can't quite see that we're going to expose. So that's
And just to
another
gi-
possibility.
And just to give you an example, you can have even LED lights in trees, like the rope lights.
Oh, yeah.
Which can create a very magical feeling. It doesn't all have to be very complicated,
There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 6 windows. Okay.
Yeah, the advantage of the LED technology now is it runs very cool, and it can run at lower voltage without safety risks.
Yeah, we have a lot of low voltage lighting that's very safe. So you're right about that. I think I was mainly focusing on the mood of the space and, what kind of mood you want to create, I think.
Should we incorporate in eternal flame? Obviously not a real flame, but should we incorporate that? It is, very important to us.
Maybe as part of the memorial part of flame there.
Anjali, answering your question about the functions for the temple, Lauren already mentioned tashlich before during Rosh Hashanah services. We need the running water and then some kind of a pool that we throw the breadcrumbs, our sins into the water, cleansing ourselves.
Okay.
So that's the only thing I can think of right now.
Okay.
And let me share with you the labyrinth that Alan was talking about. So here it is.
Oh, I see.
Oh, that's great.
So you go, I guess you go that way.
Oh, until it opens, I see.
Yeah.
But this can be interpreted in different ways. So for example, instead of having the lines, we could have plants that you're walking through in that shape, or it
Yes.
could be anything much more softer also.
Right. Right now, it looks like who moved my cheese. Okay. Well, I promised you we wouldn't keep you longer than an hour, but I'm in danger of breaking my promise unless somebody has something red hot that we haven't covered. If not, then I want to thank all of you for coming, getting in on the ground floor, as it were, before the design process begins. And I know that I, as much as you, look forward to seeing the initial product on April 28th. So thank you for sharing an hour with us this evening, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Herb.
Thank you.
Highly welcome.
Thank you.
We'll see you on April 28th. Bye-bye.
Sarah, what's for dinner?
I
I
made
want to
up
know.
Chinese-ish noodles.
What is his name?
This is Roby.
Hi, Roby. Is that yummy?
Hi, Roby.
So cute. Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. Good night.
Good night, everybody. Good night, Janice.
Good night. I'm trying to leave a meeting, but I don't know what happened here.
Okay, well, I can end it and end it for everybody.
All right, thank you.
All right, see ya.